my team was asking me who is coming today for the podcast, I said peace, happiness, harmony, and love is coming. And that's how I want to introduce Mr. Vishesh Gupta to us.
The mistake we all make is that we focus only on our own selves. So even if there are 4 people in a family, they are living under the same roof, they are unaware or wanting to be unaware of others' feelings, emotions, needs, and wants. And that is where the problem comes in relationships. All the doctors do admit stress leads to diseases like cancer. Now, what we are practicing in BSG, if you are happier, there is less stress, obviously your body can fight the disease.
And do you see a lot of younger ones joining in, or is it still an organization which is like a mid-age crisis?
Half of our organization is young because these young people, the mind is running in 1,000 directions and they want answers to various questions which they are not able to find. That is what they are able to see when they join the organization. What we practice is Buddhism in action.
When you talk about spirituality, there are a couple of other organizations. How does BSG then stand out?
That's a very good question.
Everybody, one more of the Discover Your Second Act Series 4. I am so happy to have a very incredible person. In fact, when my team was asking me who is coming today for the podcast, I said peace, happiness, harmony, and love is coming, to be honest. And that's how I want to introduce Mr. Vishesh Gupta to us today. He is the chairperson for Bharat, Soka, Gakkai. I think a lot of us know this chant, Namyo Horenge Kyo. And that is something that, gives this inspiration for not only feeling the joy, but spreading the joy. And it is my honor to have somebody like him sitting by next to me. So welcome. And this is a beautiful podcast just created out of a second act, as I say, which is discovering my own self. And I've learned so much from the guests who have come here from different spaces, places, and diversities, right from creative people to CEOs of the company to people who have dropped out of the corporate world like me and you and doing something which is more heartfelt. So very, very welcome to this beautiful show. I don't know how else can I introduce you. So
I
please.
think you have given a very long and a very wonderful introduction. Thank you very much, Archana. I think for me, it's an equal honor to be here and talking to you on this podcast. I love the way you introduced me and my organization, Peace, Love, Happiness. I hope we are able to do justice to that in our little conversation today. Yeah.
Absolutely. So when I actually met you for the first time a few weeks ago, I'm very also honored that you gave the platform to a very new startup, I would say, an NGO, which is coming from the heart pedal on. But I'm sure that there is a lot that went behind the scenes for you to take up this space, coming from a hardcore corporate world. I understand you were at Airtel. And before that, what did you do? And then how did this transition happen, if you can take us through?
I worked in the corporate for almost 27 years.
Wow, same, ditto.
Yeah, okay, same as you.
Yes.
So before I joined Bharat Soka Gakkai as a full-time chairperson. And I think it was a compelling event for me to leave the corporate and join BSG, which is acronym for Bharat Soka Gakkai. Because one of the conditions which was laid out was that I should become a chairperson and I should also become a full-time chairperson. So I had to leave the corporate and join full-time. There was a lot of speculation in my mind. I was not very sure as to how things will unfold.
Right.
Because I was doing well in the corporate. I was a chief marketing officer for Alcatel. And after that, I worked in few Indian companies responsible for global business. And this was a tough decision to leave all that behind and then join a faith-based spiritual organization, Bharat Soka Gakkai. Of course, I was a volunteer member of BSG for many years. Like I joined in 1990 and I became full-time chairperson in 2014. So for 24 years, I had been a member and I knew very well what the organization is all about and which really transformed my life in many ways in those 24 years. Wow. But still, this decision was tough. But as I said, it was a compelling event, so I jumped into it and there were questions in my mind like, how will I take it in the weeks and months to come? How will others react to it? My own family, friends, my industry colleagues, etc. But surprisingly, I felt that when I was very clear about why I had joined BSG,
Right.
then others also understood it. And when I shared with others, whether it was friends and family, distant family, or also colleagues in the industry, so everyone said that, Vishesh, the bottom line is happiness. If you are happy, if you are doing what you always wanted to do, then I think it's a right decision to take. So we are happy for you. And one or two of them said, we are envious of you because you are finally doing what you always wanted to do.
Yeah.
So actually that gave me a lot of reassurance. And then I was able to really do my best in BSG as a chairperson, all out. And the focus was then how to really make BSG grow and develop, and how to really work for the happiness of the members who are in BSG. So that is how the journey began. So when I met you first time, you talked about Second Act.
Yes.
So I feel in my life, 27 years of corporate and then 10 years in an organization like BSG, which is a spiritual faith-based organization, is like Second Act.
Of course.
And I feel I'm very fortunate that I could get into the Second Act and I could pedal on in this Second Act.
Very nice. Very
because it has really given me that inner joy, happiness, and peace, the kind of work which I'm doing here. Also, I would say that whatever I learned in the corporate in terms of various management styles and techniques, all the learnings I had, because I was always in sales and marketing, right in the front, facing clients, customers all the time. So I think all those learnings I could put into full use,
Absolutely.
as chairperson in BSG, and that really helped the organization to grow. Because when I joined the organization, we had a membership of about 70,000. And today we have a membership close to 300,000, spread in almost every town, city of India. So for a large organization like this, we need many other things in addition to faith. And like IT is one very strong component which has to be very strong. Then we are now focusing on building culture centers in different parts of the country. So we need projects team, we need procurement team, we need a full-fledged accounts and finance team, HR team, because we have a lot of staff today. For example, when I joined in 2014, I was the 7th staff to join.
Oh.
Today I have a staff of 40. So we need an HR person, to manage this kind of a staff. So all this we have been able to build bit by bit. And I think my corporate training really helped me a lot in achieving this.
Yeah, I can't agree more, because I think whatever I'm also able to do is all my corporate work and, all that I've learned in the 2 organizations that I worked for. And when, these younger generation today say that they just want to be a startup or, a unicorn or somebody as quickly as that, I always go back to them to say, work in a corporate for a few years to get your conditioning and your, like literally जैसे कहते हैं ना, नींव अपनी strong करने के लिए corporate में जाना बहुत ज़रूरी है. So I'm so glad that we are veterans of that. And
same frequency.
Same frequency also.
In fact, I would go to the extent of saying that for the young people, when they start their career with any corporate, better to join a good corporate so that the systems and processes are well established and you can understand, how good it is to work in a larger setup so that you can get exposed to, these systems, processes, which you can then implement in your startup whenever you start it.
Absolutely.
And for that, if one has to take lesser salary, work harder, I think it's a very good bargain. Because you will learn a lot.
That's what you think. You're old school. Yeah, I think the kids of today don't want lower salary in any which way.
That is right.
That is the great focus I see in them, though, about money. We were the ones who were... So I always felt I was so lucky to get what I got in life. And money was just a consequence of everything else. But today's generation is all about first tell me what I get and then I do.
I agree with you.
So I don't know what is right or wrong. So, of course, you speak about happiness. And I want to know, is there a happy world?
So one thing I always believe that there is a happy world. And the reason for that is that in every human being who lives on this earth, there is some goodness which is there in this human being. Now, in our philosophy, which we practice in BSG, we call this goodness as Buddha nature because we practice Buddhist ideology. We practice Buddhism. So this goodness is what sustains human life. This goodness is something which has sustained the entire world for centuries. And this is what is the source of happiness. So when we see goodness in others, that goodness helps us to trust them, to rely on them, to work together with them, to make some future along with them. That is where happiness starts. So I feel the world is happy, we can always make it happier, and that quest and struggle will never stop. It will continue as long as humanity exists in this world. But world is certainly happy. There is no doubt about it.
So great to have you here, because I myself have practiced Buddhism for a few years of my life, and I so do know the philosophy around it. But one or two things which I always wanted to ask, I think, and this is the right time to catch you here, that it is a lot about others. You know, you really pray for somebody else's happiness, and I think that is something the philosophy really tells. In today's world, I would say it's a lot about you. So how do you really bridge this gap?
So what we focus on is that don't ignore yourself. Don't ignore the you part. But alongside, focus on the outside part as well. So while we are praying for our own dreams, our own problems, issues which we have in life, for our own prosperity and moving forward, at the same time, we say that pray for others also. Because when you pray for others, it opens your life much more. And when your life opens up, then you will be able to receive much more. So your own life will open up, you will also grow in that process. So it is like you practice for yourself, and also at the same time you practice for others. So it is not a mutual exclusive arrangement. It goes hand in hand together. I think the problem is, the mistake we all make is that we focus only on our own selves. We don't focus on others. So even if there are 4 people in a family, they are living under the same roof, they may be focusing only on themselves. They are unaware or wanting to be unaware of others' feelings, emotions, needs and wants, etc. And that is where the problem comes in relationships.
Always.
So if we can focus on ourselves and others at the same time, I think we can really make a better and a happier world.
Well, yes, I would say it's very truism, and I wish everybody can do it as well. You need a large heart for that, and I think that is the spiritual journey.
Yeah. So in fact, right in the beginning, when you introduced me, you talked about our chant,
Yes.
Namyo Horenge Kyo.
Yes.
So to be able to have such kind of a large heart, we chant. And chanting gives us that kind of a spiritual element. And that spiritual vacuum is filled up, so that it enables us to think about others and pray for them as well.
Right.
So chanting really works there. On our own, I agree with you, our own mind, our own limited wisdom will not allow us to think about others, leave aside praying for them.
So true.
Yeah.
And another thing which I really love, which is what everybody is promoting, whether it is called, journaling today or an expression, there is so much sharing that, is observed in a community like this. People really share their experiences. They really bring forward what probably they have challenged and come out of it. And I think this is the space of resilience. I think that also is one of the foundations, isn't it? Or
Yeah, that is right. So basically, I would put it in a simple way that we are learning from each other. So in the organization, when we have our meetings, people share their own views, their own experiences as to how they are practicing this philosophy and how it has transformed their life, or they are trying to transform but not yet successful. So when we hear each other, we learn from each other.
Right.
And at the same time, learning plus it gives us some confidence that I'm on the right path. And if I struggle a bit more, then probably I can reach my goal. So this is what a human being needs the most. So when you're watching, let's say we had the Euro Cup, we had T20, when you're watching all these sports, what is really required is how to really perform at that moment. Now, performing at that moment needs this kind of a reassurance from somebody that yes, I'm on the right path. I'm definitely going to win. So that confidence develops in the heart and mind of the person. So I would say that BSG is a people's organization. Our strength is our people, our members. And that is where, we learn from each other, we grow together with each other, and we celebrate our success with each other.
I want to know something about you now. Transitioning from a leadership position to a spiritual organization. What are some shifts you saw in yourself?
Well, I think as far as the word leadership is concerned, it is more applicable in my life now than before.
Okay, all right.
Because as far as corporate was concerned, at the end of the day, it is a job. And depending on your position in the organization, you are doing that job. There is a set of people who are supposed to report to you, and there are few people whom you are supposed to report to. And then you have your outside business partners and associates, like in my case, client-facing jobs. So I had clients whom I had to cater to. So leadership is there, but it was there in a limited way. But as far as my present role is concerned, I think right from start to finish, it's all about leadership. Because my role is to really give this kind of assurance, encouragement, guidance to the members of BSG all across. So for that, I need to be in super fit position all the time. Another thing I feel is that a true leader is the one who is like an orchestra conductor. So you have like a team of leaders with you, and you know what are the strengths and weaknesses of each one of them. So how you are able to draw out the strengths of everybody so that the goals of the organization can be achieved. So I think this opportunity has come to me much more in my present role as compared to when I was in the corporate.
Okay, that answers a part of my question, but still not 100%. Because I want to know what shifted within you as a person.
So shift within me, I feel I have become more caring. And I try to really understand the other person. And not to really take the other person for granted, because in the corporate, one can also manage things because you have the power and authority to do it. So since now the organization is spiritual, you are supposed to be generous and kind to everybody. So you cannot encourage, motivate people by using power or authority. But you have to use so-called soft power, compassion. And for all this, you should have passion. So it's a very difficult mix of all these qualities.
Right.
So I think the shift has taken place in adopting these qualities and making part of my life.
One question, a little sidelined, because, when I do my yoga meditation and I, kind of we are supposed to be in balance, right? When we do such things, we are in the spiritual path. And then one thing, which I often hear, from family and friends is, oh, look at her, how she's behaving. I thought that you're a balanced person. Does it also come to you to say, hey, look at you. Why are you just screaming like this? You're supposed to be more compassionate than that.
Oh, yeah, many times. And sometimes I tell myself, what has gone wrong with me? Why am I behaving like this? I'm not supposed to. What I practice and the way I'm behaving right now, the two are completely opposite to each other. So that happens many times. And I think it's important such things happen, because there is a self-realization and then there is a self-correction also, which happens.
Yeah.
Because unless and until such incidents take place, we'll not be able to know whether we are on the right path or not.
I think self-awareness is a tool which I'm also experiencing more and more every time.
Right.
That you become very aware. Even if you do something, you kind of correct yourself, or at least you get to know that this was out of line. This is not okay.
That's right.
So, okay. So, but I will check at home how things are.
Well, you'll get to hear many things.
They're the best critiques, I would say, in the process.
I'm sure.
All right. So coming back to, what you have established in the last 10 years, I also read that you're very focused on sustainability. And I would like to know a little bit about what is the definition of sustainability? What do you really bring forward, and how do you explain it?
So it was almost like 3 years ago that, we started this initiative on sustainability. And at that time, when we discussed internally, we were wondering that what should we do in sustainability, because a lot of work had already been done.
Right.
And the government was there. They were working on the regulatory part, implementation part to some extent. Then we had the corporates who had the CSR funds. They were doing one project or the other. So everyone had some story to share and tell. So we thought that ultimately whatever everyone is doing so far in sustainability comes down to the individual. Whether an individual or a human being is able to adopt sustainability-focused practices in one's daily life or not.
Okay.
So after a lot of deliberation, we decided that our sustainability mantra will be sustainable human behavior.
Oh, wow.
That is nudging and sensitizing people to the alarming needs for sustainability and therefore educating them, making them aware that they need to adopt sustainable lifestyles on a daily basis. What is it that I can do as a person in my daily life so that I can contribute to the cause of sustainability?
And so give me an example.
So examples can be like simple, like taking bath in a shower, not to take bath in a shower, but taking bath by using bucket water, planting a tree, composting waste at home, not fighting with neighbors, having good relations, not fighting over parking issues, for example, which is so common these days, not haggling with rickshawalas and the vendors who are selling vegetables, etc. to you, because even if they are overpricing, it is like very minimal amount.
Yes.
So we have to see how we can remove poverty, we can give education, we can provide good health facilities, etc. to the people. All the SDGs are there. But it all comes down to what we do in our day-to-day life.
Right.
And then how we can reuse plastic and give it for recycling, how we can find out how I can give it for recycling. So once we start thinking, then many avenues will open up.
Right.
So with this in mind, we actually decided that we should really contribute to the SDGs and achieve them by 2030 through sustainable human behavior.
Right.
And in fact, this particular slogan, if I can use the word, we got it registered as well. Yeah, so it's a
that's
registered slogan, achieving SDGs by 2030 through sustainable human behavior.
So lovely.
Yeah.
But how do you, so your members are your catalysts, or how do you really
Members
spread
indeed
this?
are catalysts. So in members, I would say, as far as sustainability is concerned, there are two categories of members. One category is they were already doing a lot in sustainability because they are sustainability enthusiasts
Right.
and they are crusaders. So they have that huge passion. So, and they were doing projects, etc., either working as a freelance or they were working for organizations. The second category is what we developed. That is members, because of the SDG initiatives which we have taken as an organization, they became a part of it and they adopted this sustainable lifestyle.
Got it.
So members are one catalyst, but at the same time, then we are also doing a few things in society, in the outside world. We do sustainability focused exhibitions in schools and colleges. Idea is to really sensitize the students at their young age so that they can think that if they adopt a sustainable lifestyle, it will actually encourage many others.
Yeah.
So the power of one individual,
So
that point is driven home, through these exhibitions. We are also forming SDG clubs in educational institutes. We have developed a mobile app, which is called BSG for SDG. It's an in-house app which we have developed. There are 12,000 users already who use this particular app. And then we keep organizing various conclaves, seminars and competitions which are sustainability focused. So these are the few things which we are doing. And in the last 3 years, I think on the exhibitions, we have done close to 150 across the country.
Wow.
And we have formed about 25 SDG clubs. So bit by bit, we are doing something.
Work in progress.
Yes, there's a work in progress.
Great. So, of course, you're talking a lot about spirituality, and I think the definition of spirituality is something that one is very curious about, and I would love to know from you, what is spirituality for you?
I feel, in simple words, spirituality means having passion in one's heart where you can think about others and contribute to their well-being, in addition to working for your own self, for your own life. So like I was sharing with you about sustainability, how to sustain our sustainability focus efforts.
Wow.
You need a spiritual bent of mind. You need to have that passion. You have to tell yourself that I'm doing it for the future. I'm doing it for my children, grandchildren. I'm doing it for his children, his grandchildren, and so on. So that kind of a mindset needs to develop. And I very strongly feel that if one has a spiritual bent of mind, then you can actually carry out sustainable efforts on a long-term basis. Otherwise, one loses out the steam and you're not able to continue.
And when you talk about spirituality or the path of, I would say, compassion, love, and giving, there are a couple of other organizations, I would say. Then how would one know which one to choose and where to go? And how does BSG then stand out?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, because I'm very curious. I mean, especially for the younger ones,
Yeah.
because they are so all over sometimes and they have so much choice. I call them, in fact, the choice of plenty.
That's right.
So they are very confused. So how would you bring it?
So in fact, this is very relevant in a country like ours, where we have so many practices, ideologies, belief systems. One has, as you said, choice of plenty.
Yes.
So one can choose whatever one wants to. Then why BSG and why the spiritual practice we do in BSG? One major differentiator I feel is that practicing in BSG, we are able to grow as a human being. And I think at the end of the day, that is more important than anything else.
Right.
So I'm not saying that when one joins BSG and practices over a long period of time, all our problems are solved, all our dreams come true, and everything is like hassle-free. That kind of state of life we will never be able to achieve. But what we are able to achieve is that we grow as a person, we become more capable, we become more strong, resilient, and even in the midst of problems, we have that thing in our heart that, no, I'll continue and I'll be able to make it. Yeah. So I think that stability which is there, the strength which we are able to gain inside, that inner revolution which takes place, that is one of the major advantages of our movement in BSG.
Yeah, but because with a lot of the interactions or sharing that I've heard, people have come out of serious health conditions.
Yes.
Even come out of cancer, so to say. How does that happen? Because that's not happening with every spiritual practice.
So as far as cancer is concerned, one doesn't know the cause of cancer. I'm talking from medical science point of view. But all the doctors do admit that stress leads to diseases like cancer. Right. Now, what we are practicing in BSG, chanting and then working for others, happiness, is actually helping us to become more happy. If you are happier, there is less stress, obviously your body can fight the disease. And it happens with many people who are not practicing BSG, who are not members of BSG. But as an individual, their way of thinking is like this. As an individual, they have a strong bent of mind. So like we say that such people have strong willpower. So we can develop strong willpower when we are practicing in BSG. This is what I can say.
So what are the three main philosophies of this practice?
So the three main pillars of this practice are peace, culture, education. That is for the outside world. So whatever Buddhist ideology we practice, how do we manifest it in society? Through activities in peace, in culture, in education. Of course, in India, we have added the fourth element, which is sustainability.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Oh, so lovely.
And if I talk of the inner pillars, probably your question was more on that, then it is faith, practice, and steady. So faith is to really believe in the philosophy that it will work for you.
Right.
And practice is to do our daily prayers like chanting, etc., and helping others to chant and helping others to pray, telling them about this philosophy, telling new people about this philosophy so that they can be introduced to it. And then the third element is steady. So in any religious system, like this is Buddhism, so if you look at Hinduism, you look at any other Islam, Christianity, there are lots of books one has to study. There's a lot about that philosophy, which one studies, and then one deepens one's own faith through that study. So study also becomes one important element. So these are the three pillars as far as the inner movement inside the organization is concerned.
So lovely. And do you see a lot of younger ones joining in, or is it still an organization which is like a mid-age crisis people?
Oh, not at all. This is certainly not a mid-age crisis. In fact, good you asked so that I have an opportunity to clarify.
Yes.
That half of our organization is young.
Oh, no.
And when I say young, I mean the average age is less than 27 years.
Oh,
yes.
So wonderful.
So we have various divisions of the members. So by division, I mean it's age-wise division. So we have school-going children whom we call as future division. Then we have children who study in colleges, so we call them student division. And then we have young men, young women division who are like before marriage, they are called young men, young women. And once married and you have a family, then men's division, women's division.
Bichare.
So
how much quickly you transition them into like brackets.
Yeah, so, but there are these 5 divisions, which are there, 5 or 6 divisions. So we have, I mean, ours is a young organization.
Very nice to know. In fact, because mostly spirituality is about, that you've done everything and now you're focusing on all the miseries that you've gone through and you want to have a peaceful life. You say, bas karo, I want to now get inside me and discover something that I hadn't discovered before.
In fact, I can share with you the second global president of this organization. Once he was asked by a journalist that what is the reason why so many young people are joining your organization? And I'm talking of 1950s in Japan. So immediately he said, because they are seeking a strong philosophy. They want to find answers to the most difficult questions which they face in life. And I feel that it is still true today. Because these young people, the mind is running in 1,000 directions.
Yes.
And they want answers to various questions which they are not able to find in textbooks. They want to see it in reality.
Right.
And I think that is what they are able to see when they join the organization. They are able to connect to the philosophy. Because what we practice is Buddhism in action. It's an action-oriented thing.
Right.
So I think that interests the youngsters much more.
Very happy to know, in fact.
Yeah.
If you had to really say, what are some life lessons for you during the process of your second act? What would you say?
So one life lesson I have learned is about human behavior.
Okay.
Because as I said earlier, that ours is a people's organization. So I meet many members day in and day out.
Right.
And that's one of my major activities. And what I really have understood is that it's so difficult to fathom human's heart, And human behavior can be on one side of the continuum at one point in time, and the same person can behave completely in a different, opposite way at the other end of the continuum in some other time, depending on what the situation is and circumstances. So, in order to have good relationships, in order to be really happy, yourself and others, if we can understand human behavior, then I think we can control many things, and we can do more than anything else a lot of damage control, which can otherwise happen. And we can really improve our relationships, and we can do things which we feel the other person will understand and really be comfortable and happy about. So I feel one of my major kind of benefits of being in this role is that how to appreciate this human behavior. Of course, as a person, I am very enthused about this aspect of human life, but I think my present role has given me a lot of opportunity to understand this.
So, of course, I want to ask this very mandatory and a beautiful question. What's your second act? Because before, though we have answered in bits and pieces, but I'll still ask you, what's your second act?
So, for a man especially, what is most important is his work, I mean, right from the beginning, after education.
Narrative has to change now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in that, now I'm coming to the narrative.
Okay.
So from that perspective, I think my second act has been that how I transitioned from the corporate life to heading an organization which is more in spirituality and a faith-based organization.
Sure. Very nice.
And this second act, as I shared earlier, has been one of the best things which has happened to me, because I never thought it will be so good the way it has turned out to be.
So beautiful.
So I didn't have expectations, but it gave me much more. So that's why I'm more than happy.
If you ask this question to a woman, she'll say, my second act is about discovering myself. I've grown as a person. I have really taken time for myself. I've nourished myself from inside. I've healed myself. So, and men will say about my work. I transitioned from here to there. I think there's still a lot of work on men to be done. No, just kidding. I think we need a blend of both. And we need a blend of both. And you are surrounded a lot with women anyway. In your BSG work, I see.
Yeah, 70% of our membership is women.
Yeah, and also the way that, you welcome me in your women's symposium. So I could see a room full of women and you. And I think it was incredible to see how this whole organization is giving, applauds and recognition and creating a stage for them. So wonderful. So I'm very inspired.
Thank you.
And I just want to know, what are your views on women empowerment then?
Well, I genuinely believe that women are natural peacemakers. And as far as our organization is concerned, the women are the backbone of the Soka Gakkai. There is absolutely no doubt about it. So I have a lot of respect for women. I feel there are many things in this world which women can do, which men cannot do. And one of them is peacemaking. Even if you look at families, wherever, let's say there are families who have good relationships with each other, brother sisters after they get married, but they're still, like childhood brother sister kind of relationship. I think it is because of women. It is not because of men. So I have a lot of respect for women, a lot of regards from that perspective. And all this, most of us men in BSG, we learn from the organization, because that's how the organization is made up.
Very nice. You don't have a choice either, I would say, as a man.
I don't want to have a choice on this matter.
Surrounding you from every corner.
I would not like to have a choice on this matter, because I feel that that's the way it should be.
No, don't please mind my, little bit of pun here and there, because I just want some bit of like an easy atmosphere around this whole podcast.
One more thing I want to share about women is that, especially in my family, right from my grandmother times, like my dadi, so we have seen how women have been respected and how educating women has always been a priority in the family, in the household.
Right.
So whether it was my grandmother, mother, then my sisters, and then my wife, now my daughter. So it has traveled generations, but the ideology has remained the same. It has only become stronger than before. It has not weakened at all. So I've been brought up like that.
Right.
So BSG and whatever I shared with you just now has all blended into it very well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So this section has an interesting ending to it, I would say, or a wrap-up, I would say, which is about a question that I'm sorry but not sorry. And I would like you to say, what are you sorry but not sorry about at all?
Well, I have not done bad things in my life, so very difficult to answer this question. But let me put it in some other way. Maybe two things I can share on this. So one is that before, when I was in the corporate, at that time, as I shared, that I was in the business side, so sales and marketing, client facing. Generally, when you are in sales, the objective is to close the sales and walk away with the business. So for that, if you have to tell some lies to the customer, it is kind of okay to do that. As a salesperson, I never did that.
Oh.
Yeah, I never told any lies. And all my customers, all, without exception, they were aware of this. And because of that, they trusted me and gave me business.
Oh,
and they always felt that if this guy, Vishesh Gupta, is coming, it means whatever he's saying must be true. So I never used to make false promises, etc. I used to tell them, see, this is how it is, and this is the way the whole project will unfold. And they used to appreciate that.
Very nice. This is very rare. But
this is rare. But
so what are you not sorry about then, for not lying?
I was not so sorry. I'm not sorry now. But earlier I used to think that maybe I could have got more business, if I had adopted such means. But somehow it was not in me, so I didn't do it. The other thing is that, when my kids were born, so of course I was in the corporate at that time, so I was very busy. Like I was a member of BSG, I had some time which was required for BSG activities. I had a lot of time which was required for corporate, and I used to travel a lot. So I could not devote as much time as I should have, towards my children right from the time they were born and they were growing.
Yes.
So they were always like mama's children and attached to their mother. My wife left her job so that she could take care of the kids. But my children always knew that if they need me, I'll be there. If there is a problem, then I would always be there. So the situation has not changed. Like today, my children are in their 20s and the situation remains the same because I'm more busy now than before. So, but they have no complaints. And I also have no regrets.
Okay, like
right?
that, okay.
So, I'm not sorry about it because I feel that I did what was best to be done at that point in time. And even today, I feel that whenever I'm required at home, I'm there. It's not that I'll say, no, I'm busy, you just do it by yourself. I can't help you. So that kind of a situation doesn't exist.
So it was exciting because I'm sorry that if you felt that I was like teasing you in between because,
not at
I
all.
wanted to break that myth that, people who are in the spiritual space or spirituality is all about being very serious and focused and no nonsense and no laughing and, not having fun. That's why I was like, okay, we are normal people. We are spiritual because we are trying to be kinder and nicer and aligning with our inner self to, whatever we can contribute to the other self. And that was the only reason to pull your leg sometimes. Please pardon me. But
I didn't feel like that. But anyways, it helped me to talk more about what I wanted to.
Thank you so much. But it's an honor to have you, really. And please keep coming back and keep telling us more initiatives that you will do in the future as well. We need more people like you in this world. That's all I can say.
No, thank you very much for all your kind words. It really makes me feel more responsible for whatever I'm doing.
Oh.
Because we have a tall mandate, really working for the happiness of the people and to really make this world a better place for everyone. That is the main objective of the organization, and it's a worldwide movement. So what we are doing in India is contributing to this worldwide aspiration of really making this world much more happy and better for people to live in. So I can only say on behalf of my organization to all those who will watch this podcast that we'll continue to do our best and really see that how we can work for the happiness of the people and to really see that more and more capable people are fostered who can work for humanity.
So lovely. So I hope that this podcast brought in some happiness to you while hearing it. It also nudged you a little bit because there is a lot of work, in fact, that we all need to do within ourselves and for the outer world. So here's to more happiness and more happy listening, doing, and being. Thank you so much.
Thank you.